A very good afternoon. This is Avarindra Som and you're listening to the news in detail on Gold FM.
The news headlines on Gold FM.
Two-week ceasefire victory for the US. Lebanon not included in ceasefire, insists Israel. Reports of Iranian missiles in the Gulf persist. British PM to visit the region too. Sri Lanka's reserve assets decrease. Renovated central bus stand open to public. LIOC hikes super diesel prices. Bill Gates to testify in Epstein investigation.
The top story on Gold FM.
A surprise two-week ceasefire between the United States and Iran took hold in the past 12 hours, announced by President Donald Trump just before his 8 p.m. Eastern Time deadline for reopening the Strait of Hormuz. In a late-night Truth Social post, Trump said the US would suspend bombing and attacks on Iran for 2 weeks, conditional on Iran's complete, immediate and safe opening of the vital waterway, the Strait of Hormuz. He described the move as based on conversations with Pakistani leaders and a 10-point proposal from Tehran that he called a workable basis on which to negotiate for longer-term peace. Trump added that the US has already met its military objectives and spoke optimistically of helping manage traffic in the strait with, quote, big money to be made, potential reconstruction for Iran and even a possible golden age of the Middle East. Now Israel has signaled support for the pause, subject to Iran halting attacks and reopening the strait, though Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office clarified that the truce does not extend to operations in Lebanon against the Hezbollah. However, both sides have already reported violations too. Shortly after the announcement, air raid sirens sounded in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem and other Israeli cities as fresh Iranian ballistic missile attacks were launched. The Israel Defense Forces reported intercepting many projectiles, but impacts and debris caused damages and injuries in central and southern areas, including reports of cluster munitions. Iranian officials meanwhile accused Israel and the US of continuing strikes on Iranian targets, claiming these breaches undermine the fragile truce. Tehran has insisted its, quote, hands are on the trigger and vowed a full-force response to any further violations. Now the Strait of Hormuz remains largely restricted for now, with Iran stating that the safe passage will be coordinated by its armed forces during the ceasefire period. Negotiations too are expected to begin in the coming days, possibly in Pakistan.
This is the local news on Gold FM.
Lanka IOC increased the price of super diesel by 28 rupees effective today, bringing the new retail price to 600 rupees per litre. The company also raised extra mild diesel to 590 rupees and extra green diesel to 620 rupees. Prices for other fuel categories remain unchanged. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board announced a 12-hour water restriction for several areas supplied by the Labugama and Kalatuava treatment plants. Supply remains suspended from 8 am to 8 pm today in Galagedara, Iridapola, Pinnavala, Vevalpanawa, Pitumpe, Meepe, Mavatagama, Padukka, Udumulla, Arukwatta, Varagala and Bope. Similar cuts affect Malagala, Kahavala, Millava, Kotiangoda, Poragedara, Angampitiya, Angamanna, Miriyagalla and Yatavatura. Meanwhile, the water cut initiated last night for Palanvatta Siddhamulla and Aravula and surrounding areas along the 255 bus route concluded at 8 am this morning. The All Island Catering and Event Venue Owners Association announced a 15% price hike for their services starting today in response to rising gas and fuel costs. Association President Akila Jayaratna stated that the decision became necessary to manage increasing operational expenses. Now, in the meantime, Transport Minister Bimal Ratnaik officially reopened the modernised Petta Central Bus Stand today following extensive renovations carried out by the Sri Lanka Air Force. The project cost 424 million rupees and features 2 terminals with enhanced facilities across 3 floors. The ground floor serves as the primary bus yard, while the upper levels provide rest areas for transport staff and administrative officers. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Transport Board launched a special bus service today to accommodate passengers travelling for the new year. Chairman Sajeevanandana Kankaratna announced the development of 200 additional buses this year to compensate for the ongoing closure of the Kandy and Badula railway lines. Further, the Northern Railway services are set to resume tomorrow morning following repairs to damage caused by Cyclone Titwa. Sri Lanka's official reserve assets fell to $7,019 million in March 2026, marking a 3.5% decline from the previous month. Data from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka shows a reduction of approximately $250 million compared to the February total of $7,270 million. Now, these figures include funds derived from a long-standing swap arrangement with the People's Bank of China. Litrogas assured the public of an uninterrupted supply of gas during the New Year period. While the average monthly demand is approximately 28,000 metric tons, the company has already ordered 38,000 metric tons to meet the festive surge. Officials confirm that significant stocks are currently held in floating warehouses in the Maldives, with further shipments expected to arrive throughout April and early May.
Now for some news in brief.
The Department for Registration of Persons limited NIC issuance to urgent one-day services while other operations remain suspended due to a system outage, with efforts underway to restore normal services soon.
The business entertainment news on Gold FM.
In your business news, Brent crude futures dropped sharply to $92.84 per barrel, marking a 15% decline within the last 10 minutes of trading. West Texas Intermediate followed a similar downward trajectory, falling over 16% to settle at $94.71. Spot gold prices climbed over 2% to reach $4,811 per ounce as investors reacted to a sudden de-escalation in Middle East tensions. US gold futures for June delivery also saw significant gains, rising over 3% to $4,840. Financial conglomerate JXG opens its initial public offering or its IPO tomorrow, seeking to raise 5 billion rupees by issuing 500 million shares. The parent company of Janashakti Insurance, First Capital and Janashakti Finance is offering a 21.74% stake at 10 rupees per share, representing a significant discount on independent valuations. Management plans to utilize 3.5 billion rupees for domestic expansion into general insurance and microfinance, with further funds set aside for regional overseas growth and debt settlement. The Sri Lanka Compute Emergency Readiness Team issued an urgent warning today regarding a sharp increase in online financial fraud during the Sinhala and Tamil New Year seasons. Cybercriminals are reportedly impersonating government departments, supermarkets, and reputable businesses to lure victims with fake discounts, prices, and out-of-the competitions. Authorities noted that these scammers are using deceptive links to harvest personal data and banking credentials, leading to several reported cases of unauthorized bank transactions. CERT advises the public to remain vigilant and never disclose one-time passwords or identity card numbers on unverified platforms.
Entertainment news on Gold FM.
In your international news, Bill Gates agreed to testify before the House Oversight Committee in June regarding his relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The billionaire philanthropist remains the largest high-profile figure called in the ongoing investigation, following appearances by Bill and Hillary Clinton. While Gates faces no accusations of misconduct, his spokesperson confirmed he intends to support the committee's work. The hearing follows the release of millions of Justice Department documents detailing past communications between the two men. North Korea launched multiple unidentified projectiles towards the sea on Wednesday, effectively crushing hopes for a diplomatic thaw with Seoul. This follows a suspected ballistic missile test on Tuesday, which South Korean officials believe failed during flight. Now, a senior North Korean official, Jan Kim-chol, dismissed recent South Korean outreach as wishful thinking, reaffirming that the South remains a hostile enemy state. South Korean and American authorities continue to analyze the launches, which violate United Nations Security Council resolutions.
Entertainment news on Gold FM.
Firefighters responded to a blaze in the attic of Hollywood's historic Magic Castle yesterday afternoon. While the cause remains under investigation, employees noted that construction crews used blowtorches on the roof earlier in the day. No injuries were reported, and crews managed to contain the flames within the century-old Victorian mansion.
Sports news on Gold FM.
Sri Lanka's men's national hockey team has qualified for the Asia Cup for the first time in 8 years. The achievement comes after reaching the semi-finals of the ongoing qualifiers in Thailand. The tournament is set to be hosted by Japan this September. The Dialogue Schools Under-19 Rugby League begins on the 20th of April. The tournament structure divides teams into 3 groups of 6, including traditional powerhouses Royal Trinity and St. Peter's. Only the top 2 schools from each group will qualify for the high-stakes Super 6 stage. And that's all the news for now. Stay tuned to Gold FM for the latest updates. This is Avinindra Soma for Gold FM News.